This is the fifth video for Arduino, where we will learn the first two outputs in the series. We have finished learning about all the different outputs that we will encounter in the Sec2 project work lessons. In the subsequent video, we will learn the different sensors that the students will learn in the Sec2 PW lesson. Okay, of course, the number of sensors and output do not restrict to those that are shown in the videos. I have only picked out those that will be taught in class for teachers to have a better understanding of the components. In this video, we will learn about light sensor, which senses the surrounding lights, and also flex sensor, which senses a bending in the sensor. I have grouped these two sensors together as the circuits for both are similar. This is the overview for video 2E. Okay, first, I will have an introduction to light sensor and flex sensor. Okay, in this, I'll talk about the working principle and also what is a light sensor and a flex sensor. Then, I'll talk about the circuit construction of sensor output circuits. In it, we have the overview of the entire sensor output circuit, how are they actually connected. And then second, I'll have the components for flex sensor and light sensor circuits. We will then move on to circuit construction of light sensor circuits. Okay, first we'll talk about the serial monitor reading of a light sensor, so it's without an output. Then we will have various outputs and also some tinkering with the outputs itself. Lastly, we will have the circuit construction of flex sensor circuits. So it's very similar to the light sensor circuits. So we'll first talk about the serial monitor reading and then with various outputs. A light sensor is a sensor that produces an output signal that is dependent on the amount of light that shines on it. There are two types of light sensor, depending on the type of output signal produced when there is a change in the intensity of light. The first type converts the light energy to electrical energy, while the other type changes its electrical property with light. Example of light sensor includes the photoemissive cell, photoconductive cell, and photovoltaic cell. The photoemissive cell releases free electrons from a light-sensitive material when light of sufficient energy strikes, a phenomenon known as photoelectric effect. A material of such is cesium or any other alkaline metals. The photoconductive cells are also known as photoresistive cell, as it changes resistance when light is introduced. Some of the most common semiconductor material used are cadmium sulfide and cadmium selenide. The last type of light sensor is also known as photovoltaic cell, commonly known as solar cells. These cells generate an EMF across the terminals when light radiates on it. If we complete the circuit, electrons will then flow and we can measure the current generated. To summarize, the three types of cells are all light sensors, as a property of it changes when light shines on it. But the photoconductive cell changes resistance, while the photoemissive cells generates free electrons, and the photovoltaic cell generates an EMF across the terminals. The flex sensor is a sensor that detects the amount of bend on the sensor. This is because the sensor changes in resistance when it is bent, and the resistance is proportional to the degree of bending. So why does the resistance change when the flex sensor is bent? This has got to do with the thing called the conductive particles that is present in the flex sensor. When the conductive particles are further apart, as in when it is bent, the conductive particles are less conductive, and hence it will be higher resistance. On the contrary, when the conductive particles are closer together, it will be more conductive and hence less resistance. The construction of the subsequent circuits are pretty simple. Just treat the sensor part as one independent circuit, while the output part as another independent circuit, and you're good to go. So, for the construction of the light sensor circuit and the flag sensor circuit with different outputs, these are all the components that you will need. One Arduino board, one breadboard, one bunch of jumper wires, one set of different outputs which includes one buzzer, one DC motor, one LED and one 33 ohm resistor, and one servo motor. In addition, we also need one USB cable, one light sensor, one flag sensor, and one 10k ohm resistor. Do note that the 330 ohm resistor and the 10k ohm resistor are required as the LED and the sensors require them for the circuit construction. Before we construct our sensor output circuits, let's understand how to construct our sensor circuits and how the codes for our sensor works. First, connect the light sensor to the breadboard. Okay, so put one leg on one of the column and the other leg on the other column. It doesn't matter which column you put them. Okay, next, take two jumper wires. Okay, connect one leg to 5 volts, okay, while the other leg you connect to A1 from the Arduino. Okay, do note that the light sensor do not have polarity, and so the wires doesn't matter which side is on which. Okay, so next, take a 10k ohm resistor. Okay, and then you connect one leg to the ground, while the other leg you connect to the leg of the light sensor where the wire is connected to A1. Okay, last but not the least, take two jumper wire, one red and one black. Okay, power up your breadboard by first connecting the 5 volts to the positive using a red one, and the ground, okay, to the negative, okay, using a black one. And we are done for the light sensor part of the circuit. Do note that no matter which output we choose, this part of the circuit remains the same if we choose light sensor as the sensor. Okay, so this is the line of codes for our LED and LDR circuit. So first, we will ignore the lines that involves our output, so LED for example. So an easy way to see is that any line of code that has this LED, okay, will be ignored, because this line of codes actually tells the output what to do, or this line actually describe our output. Okay, so let's start off with the first line. So INT LDR pin equals to 1. So this line actually means that we are connecting our LDR to A1. Okay, and INT light val, okay, is a declaration of our variable light val, because we are going to use light val in the later part of the code. So for example here, okay, here and here. Okay, so in that sense, right, any variable that we are going to use in our codes, we have to declare it at the start. So for instance, LDR pin itself is also another variable. Okay, that's why we are declaring at the start. But this one involves a number because we are connecting it to the pin. Okay, same for LED. Okay, because we are using it here. Okay, easy. Okay, very good. So now next one, serial monitor serial begin 9600. So this line is actually the initialization of our serial monitor, and it's a very important tool for a lot of our circuits that we're gonna do later, and also for our subsequent circuits. Alright, because this line or this serial monitor actually shows the reading from our sensor in real time, and we require those reading for a calibration of our sensor or even for troubleshooting purposes. Okay, so to open up our serial monitor window, we can click on this icon that is on the top right hand corner. Okay, if you mouse over, you should be able to see the serial monitor sign. Okay, so I'll explain about this later in detail. Okay, let's move on. So light val equals to analog read or LDR pin. So we can see that the light val is being used here. Okay, so what does this line actually mean? This line actually means to read the signal that is received from LDR. Okay, and the second line, this one, serial dot print line. Okay, this is a L. Okay, wait, this is a L. This is not a I or a, yeah, correct. It is L because it's print line LN. Okay, print line light val. So this line actually prints out the signal that is from our LDR in our serial monitor. Okay, because the light val is actually equals to analog read LDR pin. Of course, we can actually put this, okay, over here, definitely. Okay, it doesn't make a difference because light val equals to this, so this can be put here, can be substituted here. Of course, we don't make life difficult, so that's why we do it this way. Okay. Okay. So next, this line, if light val is less than 500, okay. So this line actually means that if the signal received is less than 500, what will happen is that this line of code this line of code will be red. Okay, so what happens if the signal or the light val is more than 500? It will be the L statement, which is this line. Okay, as I have said earlier, the serial monitor is an important tool to tell us what is happening to our sensor. First, let's open up our serial monitor, okay, by clicking this icon over here. If you mouse over it, you will see the serial monitor label, okay, over there. So click on it. You will see a series of numbers running here, and this number indicates the readings from our sensor in real time. Okay, observe what happened when I turn off the lights. Okay, as we can see, the numbers should decrease when I turn off the lights. As such, the numbers are dependent on the lighting conditions of the surrounding, and we will have to calibrate our sensor based on the surrounding. Okay, this calibration is important for all types of sensors we use, and do note to calibrate every time we change the environment. After understanding the function of our sensor, we can now move on to connecting our light sensor with different outputs. So, the first output circuit will be light sensor and LED. To connect the LED, I have it connected here, and the connection can be found in video 2A. Do refer to the previous video for the circuit construction if you are unsure. Otherwise, I have also attached the circuit diagram above for your reference. Okay. After connection, we will now attach Arduino board to the computer via the USB cable and upload our codes to the Arduino board. Okay, after uploading the code, we can test our sensor by covering the light sensor. Okay, the LED should light up as shown. Okay, the reverse will happen if I remove my hand from the light sensor. Let's now test this light sensor with other outputs to see the various effects. The next sensor output pair will be the light sensor and buzzer circuit. Okay, as you recall, the light sensor part of the circuit should remain unchanged as we are still using the same sensor. So the only two things that change are firstly, the output circuit and also the codes that involve the output. Let's take a look at the circuit first. For the construction of the buzzer circuit, please refer to the circuit diagram above or video 2b. Okay, here, how do I change from a LED circuit to a buzzer circuit? I will first remove the LED, okay, and the resistor that is connected to it. Okay. Next, I'll connect the buzzer, okay, to the breadboard. So this wire over here, okay, it's connected to pin 6. Okay, so the pin 6 should be connected to the positive side of the buzzer. Okay, so I will connect it like this. Okay, I might need to shift the wire a little. And then you put it down. Okay, complete the circuit by adding another wire, okay, to connect it to the ground. Next, we will take a look at what will be changed in the codes. For the codes, we will first identify the lines which involves the LED. As I said previously, any word that or any line of code that has this LED word is actually describing our output. So the easiest way to locate the line of codes is looking out for the word LED. Okay, so this one is conveniently named this way. Okay, so after identifying the lines, okay, we will change them accordingly to the output we have. But remember that for subsequent sensors, the replacement of the lines are similar. So for INT LED equals to 6, we will change it to INT buzzer. Okay, because now we are actually using a buzzer. Okay, but the way of declaring is the same for a LED and a buzzer, because this line just tells us or tells the computer which pin is the output connected to. Okay, next, this line, pin mode LED output. So for this one, same thing, we will change the LED to buzzer because now we are using buzzer, right? And also, this line is actually telling the computer that pin 6 is used as an output because for pin 2 to pin 13, they can be used as both an input and an output signal. So we need to tell the computer how it is being used. Okay, the next two lines that we are going to change are digital write LED high and digital write LED low. Okay, so for buzzer we do not use digital write, but instead we use this thing called tone. Okay, tone. Okay, so it's very similar to a digital write, but this is actually specially used for buzzer. So we will write, okay, example, tone, buzzer, any number 456. Okay, the number I will explain it further. Okay, so we have tone, buzzer, 456. Remember your semicolon. Okay, and I'll remove this line. And this line as well. Okay, for the else portion, we will put no tone and buzzer. Okay, no numbers are required because no tone is just telling the buzzer to switch off. Okay, so and what does this number actually mean? This number actually refers to the frequency of the sound. So we can actually increase or decrease the number, okay, to test out the effect. Alternatively, we can also refer to this file over here, which I have placed together with the buzzer codes. Okay, so this file actually have a whole series of numbers that relates the piano keys to a number. So when we actually want to compose a music using our buzzer, we can actually use this number and tag along with the notes as a reference. Okay? Next, we will swap the buzzer to the servo moto as the third output for the video. Okay, the servo moto is easier to construct as compared to the buzzer or LED circuit. Okay, do refer to video 2C if we are unsure of the circuit construction. So, to swap from a buzzer to a servo moto circuit, simply remove your buzzer. Okay, so this wire, okay, as mentioned earlier, is connected to pin 6, and so on the servo motor, it should be connected to the data signal pin. Okay. Okay, complete the circuit by adding 2 more wires to power up your servo motor. As for the codes, it is slightly more complicated as compared to how we change from LED to buzzer, but the principle of changing remains the same. So, first, let's identify and remove all the lines for buzzer, okay? For servo motor, we need to include a library as well, and this line of codes, okay? I will type here. Okay, so this line is actually to include the servo motors library. So any line that has this .h extension, okay, means that this line is to include some library file, okay, because all the library file has the .h as an extension. Next, we will change this. So this line actually works similarly to int buzzer equals to 6 because this is just another declaring. But if you notice, the number do not come here because the number will be declared under your void setup. Okay, so this part, okay, I'll remove and I'll replace it with, okay, if you can see, this 6 over here is just telling you that the pin that servo motor is attached to is pin 6. Okay, so following on, so this line, it just sets the upper and lower limits for the angle that the servo motor can turn to. 0 is the minimum and 180 is the maximum. Okay, so as you can see, we actually use this variable servo motor over here. Servo position. So this means that we need to declare this variable. So let's declare it over here. So finally, okay, we can change this part, okay, to a line that involves the servo motor. So if you can see, okay, over here I spelled servo motor wrongly. So if I compile for now, it will tell me that servo more, okay, is not declared in the scope because you need to declare all your variables. So servo more is not. But if I change it to servo motor, it will be fine. Okay, so in that case, right, if your spelling is wrong, it will have this kind of error message that comes up. This servomotor.write is actually very similar to our digital write and our tone. It's just to tell your output to generate some like signal, or it's like, you know, to move or to light up, etc. So this one is just to tell the servomotor to turn its angle to 180. Okay, for this one. And for this one, it just tells it to turn to 0. So it works very similarly. It's just that in terms of angle. After changing the codes, right, do upload and try out your new circuit. Okay, you can change the number, okay, over here to any number that you like, as long as it is within 0 to 180. Finally, we have come to the last output, the DC motor. The DC motor is the easiest circuit to construct in my opinion, as there is no need for a breadboard or resistor, and there are only 2 wires to be connected. So, how do you swap from a servo motor to a DC motor circuit? Simply plug out everything, okay, for the servo motor. Okay, so for the DC motor, the red wire, it will go to D6, okay, and the black one will go to ground. Okay, if you are unsure, please refer to video 2D. For the codes, they work pretty similar to the servo motor, just that we do not need a library for a DC motor. Okay, so we will remove this line first, because this one, it includes the servo motor library, and also this line and this line. Okay, instead we will change it to int DC motor equals to 6. So you guys should be very familiar with this now, because it's the same as int LED equals to 6. And we need this int motor speed. Okay, remember, a variable that we're gonna use later, so we need to declare it now. Then this one, and for this, let's change this to motor speed, right? Because we declared motor speed just now. Oh, it's caps. Motor speed. Okay, even though it's the same spelling, whether is it capital or not, it matters as well, okay? Because for computer language, the casing is very important, uppercase and lowercase. Okay, so it works similar to a servo motor with the constraint function. So it's just to limit the speed of the motor from 0 to 255. Remember, for servo motor, it's to restrict the angle. For this one, is to restrict the speed. And this one, okay, we'll change it back to digital write, because for DC motor, we still use digital write. Okay, so we are done. Let's try to compile the codes to make sure that the codes are working perfectly. Okay, we can see the done compiling means that there are no syntax error in the codes itself. However, it doesn't mean that the code will definitely work. Do upload and try it out to make sure that the code actually works. Okay, because compiling function or verify function just verify the language or the syntax, or whether the casing, declaring, etc. is correct, but it doesn't check the logic. Okay, so if your logic is wrong, it will still be done compiling. After that, after you are done, okay, upload and try out your new circuit. Okay, you can change the number here, okay, to any number, and you can observe how the DC motor actually turns. Okay, for a detailed explanation of how the DC motor actually works, okay, do refer to video 2D. Okay, similar for any other outputs. Okay, refer to the respective videos. I will close this now. Okay, and I'll open another one. So this codes is very similar to the one that we had previously. This one is just flag sensor and servo motor, but remember, it doesn't matter what is the sensor, because the line of codes for the output is the same. So I want to bring your attention to this line of codes. Okay, if you observe, right, this line of code, we didn't see it just now, for servo motor as well as DC motor. Okay, this is called the map function. Okay, sorry, map function. So this one, it works for your DC motor and your servo motor. So this mapping function, right? Okay, it just maps the signal from the sensor to the outputs with relative speed or angle. So for instance, right? So when the flex sensor, okay, the signal is 200, it actually maps out to the angle of 40, and for 1000, the angle will be 40. So if you can imagine, the halfway mark between 200 and 1000 will give us an angle of 20. Okay, so this is like a mapping function, like how you actually calibrate your thermometer and etc. Okay, so it has a scale, okay, between 0 to 40. So this angle, right, is not absolute as per the if else statement, because it actually can range between 0 to 40. So if I change this to 180, then the range is even bigger. Okay, but for the if else function, is either on or off. So this mapping function, in a sense, is more versatile if you want a various form of angles. Okay, so it depends on what is the application that we want to use for the circuit. Okay, it doesn't matter, I mean, it's not that this is better or that is better. The next circuit that we are going to construct is the flex sensor circuit. Similar to the light sensor circuit, let's first understand how to construct the sensor circuit and also how the code of our sensor works before moving on to the sensor output circuits. The circuit is similar to the light sensor circuit. Here, I have the light sensor circuit from before. So just remove the light sensor, okay, from the breadboard, okay, and replace it with your flex sensor. Okay, do note that this wire was previously connected to the light sensor, but now, because the flex sensor, the legs are closer to each other, they are no longer connected. So simply shift the wire, okay, over to make sure that they are connected. Okay, so we are done for the flex sensor part of the circuit. So same as light sensor, no matter which output we choose, this part of the circuit will remain the same if we choose flex sensor as the sensor. Let's open up our serial monitor by clicking this icon over here, okay, after you upload your codes. Okay, we will see a series of numbers running here, and these numbers indicate the readings from our sensor in real time. Okay, observe what happens when I bend the flex sensor in two different ways. Okay, first, I'll bend it inwards. Okay, as you can see, the number should increase when I bend it inwards. Okay, now I'll bend it outwards. The number should decrease when I bend the flex sensor outwards. Okay. Do note that we will never, or we shouldn't, overbend our flex sensor, or if not, we will actually destroy the flexible part of the sensor. Okay. So the calibration of the flex sensor is not as tough or tedious as the light sensor, as the values are sensor dependent, meaning if I use the same sensor throughout, the value should remain rather similar, unless the sensor gets faulty in the course of its usage. Okay, so for the connection of our flex sensor with different outputs, it is exactly the same with the light sensor, just that we change the sensor. As such, right, we can just take out the light sensor and swap it with the flex sensor for the circuit. As for the codes, do you still remember that we actually changed the output line of code just now? Yes. So for now, it's the opposite. So instead of changing the output, for instance, it's LED over here, okay, we are supposed to change the flex sensor. Okay, so usually we don't do it this way. Usually we will actually open up a line of a code that involves the light flex sensor. Okay, for instance, let me open up one flex sensor. Okay, for instance, this one. Okay, so we will open up this one, and then we will change the output output line of codes, because it's easier and there are lesser line of codes to change. Okay, but of course, if you want to do it the other way around, it's also fine.